Now, ahead of a meeting with public sector trade union leaders, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that he is willing to discuss pay rises for nurses. In an interview with UK's national broadcaster, Sunak said that he wants to have a reasonable two-way conversation about pay with nurses. This comes as Britain's National Health Service, the NHS, remains under pressure and struggle to meet the demand for emergency medical care. Last month, several hospital and ambulance workers launched a rare strike action. They are demanding a salary hike amid soaring inflation. And now nurses are again poised to go on strike on January 18th and 19th, while ambulance workers are due to go on strike on January 23rd. However, after the latest announcement about the Prime Minister, nursing union leaders have said that a chink of optimism now exists. Unions have said that they will call off strikes in the next few weeks only if offers are made to resolve the disputes over this year's pay settlement. Government officials and union leaders are scheduled to meet later today to discuss measures to end the strikes. Earlier, Sunak held emergency talks with health leaders and called for bold and radical action to reform the crisis-hit state healthcare system. Sunak has asked, or was asked in the interview, if he uses private healthcare amid suggestions that he is out of touch with millions of ordinary people who wait long hours to receive treatment. However, Sunak refused to answer and said that his own healthcare was not really relevant and was a distraction from his focus on making sure that people across England receive high-quality NHS provision. Tackling issues regarding NHS was lifted as a priority under Sunak's 5 promises, which he delivered in his first speech of 2023. He said that he hopes to relieve pressures on the NHS by directing funds to increase the number of hospital beds, among other measures. Mike Buckley is a senior journalist and political commentator, and he is now joining us live from Sheffield, England. Mike, welcome to WION.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fine. Critics say that these strikes will define the future of Britain and that of the Prime Minister. Will this health workers' leaders meeting be of any benefit, or is it far-fetched?
At the moment, it doesn't look like there's been any meaningful movement at all. The government is still refusing to move on pay, which is the key request of the health workers involved, and indeed many other workers in the UK. We've got the biggest set of strikes going on in our country for I think 30 or 40 years.
Mike, over the last 3 years, a policy that was meant to save the economy at the expense of the public's health has instead produced disaster on both fronts. The opposition members, or the Labour Party, says the strike wave must win this time around. What do you make of that statement?
I think it's true. I mean, public sector workers, so nurses, teachers, police officers, firemen, anybody else who works in the public sector in the UK, they've had a pay cut over the last 12 years of, depending on their job, between 15 and 25%. Now that's a lot of money. And as you may know, inflation in the UK at the moment is about 10%. So people are simply not able to afford to live. They're not able to afford to heat their homes or feed their families. We have these things called food banks in the UK, which is where particularly poor people can go to a charity and get a few days food given to them for free. And we have lots of people now, including people working in teaching, working in the health service, with full-time, what used to be decent quality jobs in the UK, now going to food banks, the only way to feed their families. It's appalling. So I think the Labour Party is absolutely right. The strikers do need to win this time around.
Mike, I'm just curious, and I really want to know, there is no doubt that the public is with the strikers. A very recent poll indicated the margins of support for striking nurses was 39%, rail workers was 7%. There was even a net 19% support for teachers who have not even called for a strike. What's the message here?
The message is that the public are very aware that things have got to a point that it's no longer sustainable. But, the stats I've just given you on wage cuts, those are not known by everybody, but they're fairly widely known. But what's much more widely known is the fact that we have inflation of 10 or 11%.
Mike, what is that one thing that UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak can do right now to save Britain?
He needs to move on pay for the public sector, because that's incredibly important. But I think even before that, he needs to look like he's actually engaging with these issues and understands them, and also accept his responsibility. I think at the moment people look at him and think he's not accepting responsibility for what's gone wrong. He keeps blaming other people, or blaming the COVID pandemic or something like that. And also people see him refusing to talk to trade unions. And I think that above all is making things worse for him, because if he won't even enter into conversation, never mind move on pay, I think people just think it makes him look like he's scared to deal with this rather than somebody who's actually a capable leader with some confidence about it.
We'll have to end this discussion here. I've been talking to a senior journalist and political commentator, Mike Buckley. Mike, thank you for talking to WION today.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.